Alright. Time for more Lyre. It's actually been like a few days since I last recorded my last session. I did try to see where we left off. I remember, okay, so Adrius got the coronation, so he's king now. And we're still locked in the cell because I think we have to... There's going to be an investigation and trial for Raynar's death, which... is there anything else? Leaf tells us, or Leaf gives us, or what the fuck? I can't think straight. Leaf, he did research on our condition, and he thinks he knows. He suspects. Wasn't it Richter? He suspects Richter for having the mind's eye, and Richter denies it because he doesn't trust anyone so far. I don't even know if he trusts Lyle. I mean, he said he would tell Lyle, but like, does he truly trust Lyle? Whatever. Let's just get into this. Day 19. There's like how many chapters? 13 chapters? Almost to the end. This doesn't feel like I got as much sleep as I'd hoped. As I slowly wake up, I slide my legs off the gritty stone bench. The cold floor of the cell sends a shock through my body, but I'm too exhausted to jolt up from my relaxed position. One would think that I would be used to this by now, but I don't think I'll ever get used to it. Waking up like this isn't normal for me at all, and it will definitely take some getting used to. It could definitely be worse, though. I'm positive that it's way colder out there than it is in here. It's weird waking up and not hearing birds chirping or anything like that. There's almost no noise outside of the window. The wind is absent, and I can't hear any of the trees rustling. If I pay close attention, I can hear a little bit of commotion coming from the city. Everyone must be doing their daily routine. I imagine Adon is getting ready for the day and making a racket, getting all his commissions prepared. Charlotte is probably getting their day started at the bakery too, prepping all kinds of goods. John is most likely learning more things from her about the trade, or just making sure the kitchen doesn't fall apart. Thinking about this causes my stomach to twist and shrink. I'm surprised I even remember their names. I only met and talked with them for a few minutes. I usually forget someone's name the second they tell me it, but this is different. Here in Lyre, everyone is so much more interesting and unique. Nobody feels like another face in a crowd. I guess it's because I'm not used to living here. I sit up and slouch over, staring at the floor. My reflection stares back at me, and I sigh. I wonder what they think of me now. They probably believe that I really did kill the king. I'd feel awful if I ever had to look them in the face again. Visions of those nobles staring at me with disgusted faces on the winter solstice suddenly invaded my mind. Too many people here hide behind a smile. I can't say the same for the villagers in the city, but I felt more comfortable around them. Even if I enjoy what I do, I feel like I'm constantly around the wrong crowd. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like just to walk away from all of it. Go live somewhere nice and quiet among people who are simple and kind. They say go alive or go live. Go live somewhere quiet and nice. I don't really know what I would do, but being away from all of this would be enough for me. I definitely want to get out more. Probably take early walks in the crisp morning air. Richter. Their voice causing me to jump a bit, and my body leans back against the wall in a stiff manner. I really wish you wouldn't scare me like that. Sorry, I was getting tired of listening to you ramble. I really hate the fact that they can hear everything I think, but I slowly realize there's no use in complaining. I wish that they shared the same sentiment. You should get used to it. Believe me, I thought I was. The snarky tone makes me roll my eyes in a tired way, which is something I hope they see. I hear them guide me in a deep voice. You should really start practicing. The thought of practicing using the mind's eye makes me wish I could go back to sleep, even on this hard bed. I just woke up. Could you give me a minute? Right, of course. As taxing as it is, practicing with the mind's eye is one of the few ways I can cure boredom while I'm in this cell. And here, I can use that as a form of escapism. I can go to all these different places and have all these different experiences. Can't really allow myself to get too carried away with it, though. I have to remember my main goal. I have to practice so that I can be strong enough to see into the more recent past. I need to use it to see who killed Raynar. It seems impossible given that the trial could come out of nowhere. Not only that, but knowing who the killer is won't save me. I need to use that knowledge to prove my innocence. Most importantly, I need to use it to prove who did it and have them face justice. I need time to think and figure it out. Relay information to people that can help. I can't do all of this today before the trial. If only I could see Lyle. He'd be so much help with that. I stand up from my sitting position and begin to pace around the cell, careful to step on dry ground. Now that I think about it, I've been practicing a lot. Maybe I could try figuring out who killed Raynar. There's no harm in trying, I guess. Wrong. Another abrupt word from Tigran causes me to stop in my tracks. There's a severe amount of harm in trying. How? I'm going to have to try it eventually, aren't I? You just need to trust me. You aren't ready yet. Something like that takes a lot of practice, skill, and focus. With luck, you'll be able to get to that point in time. But until then, you need to start smaller. Hearing them say all of this angers me slightly. I've trusted them so far, but I always have this feeling in the back of my head that they're hiding something from me. They probably know this is how I feel, but I'm not going to bring it up with them. In fact, they can't tell me everything makes... In fact, the fact that they can't tell me everything makes me even angrier. It doesn't seem right. I let out a sigh of defeat. Fine, I'll trust you, but you better not give me a reason not to. I can try. I sit down on the floor, crossing my legs and slouching over. They always have to have the last word, I guess. Staring into one of the puddles, I can see the reflection of the window. Dim sunlight shines into the room, giving everything a chilling glow. Is there anything in particular I should start with? That's your choice, but I would try to be a bit more imaginative. Lately, your visions have been a bit too personal. They've also been based off of recent experiences or confrontations. And there's something wrong with that? Somewhat. You need to truly try and test your boundaries. Reach out beyond the horizon and take hold of a memory or feeling. It could be an experience you've always wanted to have, or something lived by someone you met a long time ago. Something near and dear to your heart. They pause to take a breath. Or something new. Visions like this, they're like fuel for my avatars. I press my finger into the dirt on the floor and draw a line. Is there a reason why that happens? Just helps. I wipe the dirt off my finger and lean back. Okay, I'll try. I feel a warmth run through my body as I relax and concentrate. I try to think about home. The sunny days and tall, white towers. The rolling hills by the cliffs and sandy shores. Waves crashing against the stone walls of the docks. All the people who made an impact on my life. Memories of my past and the things I've done. Sitting in the chair by the window with my mother, just talking with her. Watching the ships sail by. After a few seconds of closing my eyes and thinking about all of these things, I feel as if I'm pulled away from my body. I get the sense there's chaos all around me, yet for some reason, my body can't feel a thing. I also feel like I'm floating. Or, that's what I think it would feel like. It's truly indescribable. That feeling quickly fades as I'm thrown into a perilous scene. A flash of lightning obscures my visions for a moment as everything unfolds. Heavy rain swirls around me as a sound of harsh winds drown my senses. It looks like I'm spectating the scene of a ship at sea, surrounded by a terrible storm. Waves crash into the sides of the small ship, and sailors clamor around the deck. Some of them are being thrown all over the place by waves, crashing onto the surface and flooding over the sides. Most of the sails have been rolled up as well. The ship looks old, too. It's nothing like the ones I see coming in and out of the harbor in Erin. It almost looks archaic. However, my body seems to be tethered to a single sailor. He's a monkey with light fur that looks like it's been bleached by the sun. His skin has a dark pink color, too. He's swinging around one of the ropes tied to a mast, looking around at everything going on around him. His eyes are bright, as golden as the sun. I'm not really sure what's going on or what I'm witnessing, but I get this feeling that I can't look away. His tail curls slightly around the rope as his eyes start to head to the eye of the storm. He's panting heavily and keeps looking around at what's going on with worry in his eyes. There's a coiled rope being held by his foot. I always thought that was cool that monkeys could do that as well. Lightning strikes again, and the boom echoes throughout the deep abyss of the open sea, casting a bright light among the clouds and across the rolling surface of the ocean. One of the sailors from below yells up towards the mast. "Alverton! Get down from there, it's not safe!" The monkey looks down at him and yells back with a bellowing voice. "It's my job! You'll thank me if you go overboard." He gestures to the rope being held by his foot. Just keep her going steady, and make sure you don't lose track of the eye. We've got that covered." A wave washes over the side and the sailor staggers a bit, but keeps a hold on the railing. Another sailor yells out among the crew. "You should have never listened to you, you know? It's not safe to go far out from home. We should have never left the shores." Alderton looks down with an annoyed voice. "Save the lecture for when we're in the clear, would you? It'll be worth it in the end with the haul we've made. As far as I know, that haul you speak of probably fell overboard not too long ago. And I don't feel like joining it." Alverton tightens his grip on the rope and looks ahead with a determined gaze. "Just a bit further." He says this to himself, making it hard for me to hear. Excuse me, fuck. I float around him a bit more, not really having control of the direction I'm going, but staying within a general distance of his figure. It's like I'm some sort of spirit. This is really weird. I thought I was supposed to experience these things from the perspective of others. Why am I not in a body right now? Tigran told me to test my boundaries, but I'm not sure this has anything to do with what's happening. All of the visions I've willingly had so far have been about people I've had some experiences with. Yet I feel some sort of connection with this monkey, even though I don't know him. Could he be a sailor from Erin that I've run into before? It doesn't seem given likely how old this ship looks, but it's the only explanation I can come up with. I snap out of my thoughts and go back to focusing on the scene playing out before me. He grips a simple-looking necklace that's tied around his neck on a string. And then it happens. There's this moment where everything seems calm. The noise from the rain is muffled and the wind slows down slightly. A deafening boom claps all around me, and my vision goes away in an instant. Did lightning just strike the ship? My hearing comes back after a second as wind whistles through my ears. I get this false feeling of dropping, like I'm being dragged down by a heavy object. Or maybe it's like I'm taking a dive through the air, chasing something. Then there's a heavy splash and a sudden decrease in speed. All noise is muffled and it's almost eerily soothing. Like closing a window on a rainy night. My eyes adjust to the darkness and I can see little particles floating around me, like dust swirling through the air. The ocean. I'm under the water's surface. I get a glimpse of the monkey's figure off in the distance. Lightning in the sky above dimly illuminates the water around us, casting rays of light that beams down into the dark void beneath us. He's just floating there, his body completely still. A rope that was being gripped by his foot is gone, probably lost to the tide or still on the ship. I try to get closer to him, but I don't feel like I'm moving. I'm not liking where this is going. I can hear this ominous vibrating noise, like an earthquake but underwater. Ominous voices and noise echo around me. Fear creeps its way into my soul as I wait in darkness. Tigrin. I jolt in my seated position, painfully throwing myself into the wall behind me, letting out a yelp. What's going on in there? A guard yells down the tunnel, sounding like he's pretty close. Nothing, just slipped. I'm fine. There's a pause, and then he throws his voice down the tunnel again. Just don't do it again. I hear his footsteps travel back up to the corridor, and I stand up, resting my head near the window. Are you going to say something, or do I have to ask? I quickly whisper this under my breath in an annoyed tone. And there's silence. It's a very long silence, and at first I think they didn't hear me. Then they speak up. There are just some things that I'm not allowed to explain to you. What the hell was that? Who was that? Why were you there? More silence. Look, I've been nice so far. I've been going along with all this knowing that I could very well be in a lot of trouble. The least you could do is be truthful with me. This gets them to speak up. I am being truthful with you. It really doesn't feel like it. You hear them take a deep breath. Richter, please. I've already explained all of this before. I am held back from doing certain things, saying certain things. You could cause a lot of trouble. It's not my place to give you knowledge, only the ability to seek it out yourself. I grip one of the rusty iron bars in my fist, running my other hand down my face. A little bit more facial hair prickles my hand than usual, reminding me how long I've gone without taking care of myself. I'll probably have a fully grown beard by the end of this. You just need to trust me. I grip the bars on the window harder. I'm really tired of hearing you say that. I have several reasons not to. Forgive me for being irrational, although I don't really see it that way. Well, you've been nothing but suspicious. And you think I want to be? I don't know, but none of this is working in your favor. The book Leaf brought down said that people who have your power die. Is that going to happen to me? Are you just here to escort me into an early grave? No, I'm not. Who's Alberton? More silence as they ignore my question and try to change the subject. All will be revealed, I promise. Is he a past avatar? Someone whose mind you invaded long ago? You know I can't answer that. What were you doing there? There's a deep sigh and more silence. I really didn't want to believe it, but it feels like you're lying to me about something. Something really important. They don't answer. That's when I hear footsteps pacing down the tunnel. They're light and sturdy sounding, like they're walking very fast. I back away from the window and sit on the ground in front of the door, leaning my back against the rough wall. Excuse me, shit. I'm going to talk about this later. I say this under my breath so that whoever's coming doesn't hear me. It's a tough game I play, talking with Tigrin while I have no privacy. The guards can't really hear my hushed whispers from here, though, so it works for now. I could speak with them in my mind, but it takes a lot of getting used to. The footsteps get closer, and I can't help but get a little anxious. I don't know, I hope this is Elizabeth. Maybe she has something. Hopefully it's not Adrius again, down here to patronize me even more than he already has. The repetitive noise doesn't sound like his hooves, though. It's a sound I'm all too familiar with. The sound of someone wearing shoes. The steps slow to a casual walk, and then she comes into view. I knew it. Okay. Liz stands there in front of the cell door looking at me. She has this face that looks like she's trying to find what to say. You look a lot better than I thought you would. Thanks. Sorry. It's just the way Prince Adrius described you. He exaggerated a bit. King Adrius. Yes. And how is our new king? My tone comes out a bit more dry than I wanted it to. She gives me a perplexed look. I can't tell if she's surprised I'm showing any hint of concern, or if she's shocked I have the gall to mock him in front of her. He's obviously distraught and finding his own way to cope with it. But that's the thing. It's like he's still a prince. Nothing's really changed yet. Yet. She throws her head back in an exhausted manner and runs her hands through her auburn hair. Why am I talking about this with you? I don't even know you, and you're suspected for killing our king. She leans back against the wall and looks down. I know that Lyle tried to convince you that I didn't do it. He also said that you even considered it. What of it? Well, for the record, I didn't do it. She cocks an eyebrow at the remark. But why would you believe me? She throws her hands to her sides and looks at me incredulously. I don't believe you. I believe Lyle. He's extremely loyal to his kingdom, and I know that he would never betray it. Even if he lets his feelings get in the way. So if he trusts you, then that gives me a reason to at least consider it a possibility. Well, that's very nice to hear. Sadly, I don't think it will help me. She lowers her head and exhales. Why have you come down here? She slumps against the wall slightly. The first reason? I was curious. The whole situation seemed completely outlandish, and I had to see you for myself at least once before the trial. What's the second reason? She lets out a sigh. The trial. Has the day already been decided? Yes. The trial will take place 9 days from now. 9 days? I jolt her from my sitting position. The information hits me like an arrow through the back. No. I know. Adrius wants it to happen at the earliest. This is just enough time for everything to be prepared, so it's quite literally happening as soon as possible. I'm really sorry, but I thought you should know. I walk over to the stone bed and sit on it, leaning against the wall and looking up at the ceiling. Liz is no longer in my sight, but I can still feel and hear her presence on the other side of the bars. Are you okay? I don't answer her at first. You remember how I said that Raynar spoke very highly of you? Yes. She takes a deep breath. That was an understatement. He saw something in you that I can't even explain. I hear her take a couple of steps away. If you truly didn't kill Raynar, then don't take that for granted. She pauses, waiting for a response from me, but I don't give her one. My mind is racing with the idea that I only have 9 days to figure this out. What she said about Raynar resonates with me, though. Take care of yourself, Lord Richter. She walks down the tunnel, her footsteps fading away. After a while, silence fills the tunnel once more. Hearing Elizabeth say that Raynar saying that Richter. Wait, what exactly did he say? Raynar spoke very highly of Richter being an understatement. That kind of made me a bit emotional. I really want to see what kind of the dynamic between them. I want to see more of Richter and Raynar, but they're dead, obviously. But like, of course, Raynar being described as like a gentle giant, even as he looks intimidating. When we saw the flashback of him when Adrius was a kid, he looked even more gentle than he's described as now. So, I really wish that we could have seen what Raynar really thought about us, or Richter. The trial is only 9 days away, and I have nothing to help me yet. Lyle's forbidden from seeing me, so I can't get his help either. I can't train any faster, and it feels like I'm getting nowhere. Visions of Raynar cloud my mind as well. The thought of his true murder being unveiled makes me feel empty inside for some reason. Every possibility of that night's outcome swirls in my head like a hurricane. Only one thought stays focused in the center of the room, though. How I could have prevented this from happening. What the hell am I gonna do? Only one option comes to mind. I need to at least try to figure out who actually killed him. That's the only way I can solve this in time. What did I tell you earlier? Tigran, I only have 9 days. Even if you understand that it would take a miracle to get out of this. Even you understand that it would take a miracle to get out of this. Including the one that I already have. You need more practice. I have to try, Tigran. If I can't figure this out in time, I'm dead. You're not going to stop me from making this decision. I sit down on the floor and cross my legs. Oh shit, he's really gonna try doing it. Fuck. Closing my eyes, I can hear their voice get louder. Richter, I'm warning you. If you do this, you'll what? A chill ran down my spine. After I cut them off, they stopped talking altogether. Then he speaks up in a soft tone. I will not do anything. You, however, will regret this. For a moment, I consider their advice. Only for a moment, though. For the past 5 minutes, my life feels like it's rushed to a sudden stop. I'm at the top of the figurative stairs, and in front of me lies the inevitable. Sorry, Tigran, but I'm not risking my life on this. It's now or never. The entire presence of the cell implodes as I succumb to the feeling of the void. At first, there's nothing. It's like I'm sleeping. Suddenly, sharp pains erupt throughout my body. Blow after blow sends me to a whirl of agony. My body feels like it's being ripped through all of reality as I know it. It's almost indescribable. My very existence is being torn in two as I delve into the past. Then I'm falling. The black void doesn't let up as I'm thrown to the hard floor. I get the feeling of recovering from falling out of bed, but it's 100 times worse. This is all accompanied by a loud crashing sounds. My whole body ruptures in on itself. The blurry darkness fades away as my eyes flicker open. Did it work? I feel like I'm slumped up against something and I can only see a window in a bit of the wall. I'm definitely in Raynar's body. I don't really get time to assess my surroundings as a terrible pain strikes through his body. Nothing else matters in that moment as my entire being is filled with all kinds of emotions and feelings. It's like someone took my insides and crushed them in their hands. Didn't I kind of predict this a few sessions ago? That he would feel the pain of Raynar? My soul feels like it wants to cave in on itself, but the body I'm in just lays there. I can feel some sense of Raynar trying to get up, but the overwhelming amount of emotions and pain clouds that. Fear, anger, shock, sadness. Not to mention the unbearable suffering that works through my body like a wreathing snake. It's a hot, searing pain, like someone's holding a torch to my chest. I can feel the blood rushing down my chest in a thick, heavy stream. I've been cut and gashed before, but this is nothing like that. I want it to stop, but I can't let that happen. As much as I want this to be over with right now, I have to see it through to the end. I can feel my own heart. If I could feel my own heart, I'm sure it'd be racing in my chest. Raynar certainly is. With every single beat, I can feel more blood gush out of the wounds in his torso. It's agonizing, but I need to keep going. Everything seems normal so far. Nothing twisted or blurry. It all feels as accurate as it could be on that night. He struggles to lift himself to a sitting position, but only manages to turn his head. He's letting out several pain gasps and sounds, like he's trying to say something, but it only comes out in mumbled noises. It's devastating. Yeah, because he got stabbed 3 times in the chest and a slit on his throat, wasn't it? I can't help but feel sorry for him, and yet a deeper feeling eats away at my thoughts. Something worse than sorrow. He didn't deserve to die like this. His vision falters for a moment, but he manages to stay conscious. Outside the window, snow whirls by, wind beating against the glass. The shimmering aurora on the horizon peeks through the stormy clouds and casts an ominous green moonlight throughout the room. In that emerald light, I see them. A figure in a dark and shiny leather cloak approaches from the foot of the bed. Is he wearing a glove? What is that? The hood casts a shadow over their face, so I can't quite make out who they are. They have to show their face at some point, though, so I hold on. They slowly walk towards the body slumped on the floor in front of them. They're covered in blood all over in front of their body and brandishing a long, pointed dagger. It's the exact dagger from that night. Seeing the weapon that caused these wounds make them hurt even more. The gnarled shape of the blade would make even the strongest man writhe in agony. Blood runs down to the base of the blade and drips past the guard and on the floor in front of them in dark puddles. None of the blood seems to be seeping into the clothing. It just flows right off the thick streams. They hold the tip of the blade close to their face as if looking at it, though I can't know for sure. Their hands start to shake slightly, but steadies as they turn and look at Raynar. I can't even see their eyes, but I can feel their vision piercing into my soul. Another strange thing is the fact that the curtains are flowing like there's a light breeze, but the window isn't open. The pain that was once unbearable is now slowly beginning to numb as I feel Raynar's body lose its hold on life. The feeling is terrible, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. His vision is beginning to become more and more blurred, eyelids wavering. No! Who is that? Who is that? Sorry, the flash, but... Lightning strikes outside of the window, and I get a glimpse of their face illuminated in the contrasting light for just a moment. It's not enough to be able to tell who they are, but my eyes are slowly adjusting to the darkness. Their face looked human from what I saw. There it is again. It's a male human. I'm sorry. That's a male? Let me do it again. Maybe. Not only that, but they look familiar too. But no, that's even more strange. I don't think I've met a human male in Lyre. Not well enough to recognize one for that matter. Something about this isn't right. It's hard to think with excruciating pain shooting through my body, and all of the emotions overwhelming my senses. As I focus on trying to reorient myself, Rina's eyes finally adjust to the darkness of the room. What I see next is the true horror. No. What the fuck? What the fuck? No, I'm closing my eyes. You're not real. Fuck. What the fuck? What the fuck? No, you're lying. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. That's not. No, you're lying. No! Oh my god. What the fuck happened? What? No! I don't know. I don't want to believe. No, they're playing me. This is a red herring. No, this has to be a red herring. No. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't even, yeah, I don't want to see it either. What the fuck? But there I am staring back at myself. What? What, huh? I'd say it's like looking in a mirror, but it's far from it. Because when he stares back, he only sees a deer. And I can see it on his face. My face. This can't be real. He has a cold and analyzing gaze. Eyes shining in a tense green. His warm skin looks pale in the dim moonlight. This isn't right. I know I didn't kill Raynar. The vision is wrong. Tigran was right. I should have listened to him. Yeah. This is a red herring. No. That's wrong. Just like the game said. The vision is wrong. Yeah. They're fucking with us. Raynar's eyes finally give up and feel his body being drained of its life. I can't see anything, but I'm still there. The scene marches on around me. The doppelganger's presence moves behind Raynar, and then he's lifted up and forward by his antler. I can feel something cold being pressed to his neck. Wait, so at the time he didn't have the slit, but the slit was added after his vision, after this. Oh my god. The scorching hot pains overwhelms my throat, followed by a sharp and unbearable jolt. No. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? I want to rewatch that, hold on. My mind is torn out of Raynar, and I'm back in the cell. I'm laying on the ground in a fetal position, tears streaming down my face. They soak the ground beneath my head, and a bit of mud sticks my face as I lift myself up. The pain in my chest is gone, but my heart is still racing. The only thing that hurts now is my head. It's several times worse than any of my more recent headaches. A constant pounding against the side of my head, like someone's banging rocks against it. Are you okay? Why would they ask me? Why would they ask that? They already know how I feel. I'll be fine. Are you sure? I don't answer and I hear them sigh. Richter, I tried to tell you. No, you were right. I get up and brush myself off, cold dirt sticking onto my clothes. I'm still shaking all over. I'm sorry for not listening. I sit down in the corner of the bed by the window. I saw everything. That was horrible. I can tell they're trying to pick their words carefully as I continue to speak. The past hurts. You know that better than most, considering your first real experience with a vision. I think back to the scene playing out with the Queen's death as Raynar lays there, helpless to stop it. An assassination with a dagger, taking life for some unknown reason. What you just did, I've seen it drive most men insane. Or close to the edge, so to say. I feel insane. You're not. I'm honestly surprised. Your vision, it was clearer than I thought it would be. I get into a sitting position. Not clear enough. Do you know? It's hard to form the words after everything that just happened. Yes. Do you know why I was the assassin? Does it mean anything? They take a few seconds to form an answer. It doesn't mean anything. It's just your own mind playing tricks on you. Or could it be that you feel guilty for his death? They said those last few words with a bit of carefulness in their voice. It's not that I feel completely guilty. I think back to the night when it all happened. Raynar said that he wanted to see me in his chambers later. I didn't really think about it too much, so I went off and spent the night with the rest of the night with Lyle. And then I got a bit carried away. When the servant was sent for me, I took my sweet time getting ready, and when I got there, it was already too late. I just wonder sometimes, if I had just gotten there a bit earlier, I might have been able to do something about it. I know. You've been suppressing this feeling for quite some time. It's not your fault, though. What happened can't be changed, and it can't be helped. You just need to focus on what's to come. You're right. I just need to know what I can do to fix this mess. I just need to do what I can to fix this mess. Make sure the future isn't as dark. That reminds me. Before I can ask them anything, I become more aware of the sound of armor clanking together. It sounds like a guard is pacing around the tunnel. Hang on. I don't want any more interruptions. I close my eyes and concentrate. Then, within seconds, I'm in the mind's eye. Come out, Ty. I haven't been called that in a long time. Ty? Okay, sure. I won't call you that if you don't want me to. Richter, I couldn't care less what you call me. Okay. Can I ask you a question? Of course. Do you know that book Leaf showed me? Yes. It says something about your purpose. Something about how you're here to guide everyone to a brighter future. Yes, it did say something about that. What of it? Is it true you know what's going to happen in the future? They take their paw and brush it along the scales on their arm, giving it some thought. In a way, yes, but it's a bit more complicated than that. How so? Think of it more like this. They place their finger on one of the scales on their arm. You believe there to be a single future that can be altered depending on choices made in the present, correct? I suppose. Well, that's not entirely true. With this, they slightly lift the scale, making the others in front of it lift up a bit as well. There are so many possible futures. They're all just playing out separately from each other, and every single one is different from the last in some way. The scales on their arm begin to bristle and create waves across the surface. It's mesmerizing. Each prediction and every decision leads to another, creating the flow of time. One future is not entirely discarded, but simply forgotten. These futures cannot be predicted long term, however. They guide their hands over their head, as if gesturing to all of these different realities. We can never truly tell which future will come to be, or which event is going to take place. We'll never know it's true until it happens. They lower their arm and gaze down at me with a disturbed look, referring to mankind. Right. Does my future look bright? They let out another sigh. If I could tell you, I would. But sadly, I can't. That's why you have to trust me. I still don't like how much you hide from me, even when you don't have to. They take a long, deep breath before speaking. I'm not trying to hide anything from you. I'm trying to protect you. From what? From everything. You're protecting me from everything? Richter, I've been doing this for countless years. And I've had a long time to make many mistakes. A lot of mistakes. A pair of their arms hang limp at their side. Gods aren't perfect, Richter. And I'm the best example. I take a few steps toward their towering form so I can get a bit closer. Yes, but you've done a lot more good than bad, right? They look at me with a downhearted gaze. Of course, but I can never make up for all of it. Their chest heaves and they relax a bit. This is what it is, Richter. This is what it is to be a god. They are sheep, and you are their shepherd. Except there is no wolf, only the sheep. And you sit there trying to stop the rams from killing each other. To no avail. Only for a moment I catch a glimpse of sadness in their eyes. It quickly fades away, however. Never thought of it like that. It's just the way things are. Us gods can only help from the shadows. We cannot interfere with mortal affairs too much. Tigrin, may I ask you a question? Their smile turns into a wary frown. Yes. I will try to be as open as I can with you. Who is Alverton? As the name slips from my mouth, I can see their eyes stare off into space. They shake their heads slightly and answer. If you truly must know. I feel it is only fair given you were able to unearth that vision to begin with. Not only that, but I was the one who pushed you to try for something a bit new. Excuse me, fuck. Oh, fuck. It's not Tigrin's voice, shit. Their arms wave to and fro, and as if at this point they're talking to themselves. Then they look down and clear their throat, beginning to speak. You've heard the name before, have you not? It's an old name, but yes, I have. There is an island not too far south from where you currently are. Alverton Isle, to the east of Grimrock. Yes, the island was named after him. Over 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years. I didn't want to believe it at first, but it all makes sense. To think I can see that far into the past. Was I right earlier? Is Alverton one of your avatars? A thoughtful look glazes over their eyes. Alverton was the first. He was my first avatar. What were you doing in that vision? They crossed their arms. Instead of asking questions, just tell me what I know. Fuck. Instead of asking questions, just let me tell you what I know I can. Okay. They lower their arms and continue with a slight sigh. He was not my first avatar, but the introduction to my existence. I would have done anything for him, even considering he's the reason. The reason for what? This is why I don't like to tell stories. Their faces frozen as they whisper this under their breath, but they continue. Nothing. The point is, you have a lot to thank them for. A lot to learn from them. I believe it to be beneficial for you to study their past. Study their past? Shouldn't I be focusing on Raynar's past? Of course. But when you find the time, I would suggest looking into his past. The mind's eye starts to slowly fade around me. Wait, I just have 2 more questions. Yes. At first, when I was seeing into Alverton's past, I wasn't viewing it from his perspective. I was just floating around him like a ghost. Is that because he's an avatar like me? Tigran places a hand under their chin with an impressed look. Very good observation. Yes, that is the reason. And my last question. Would it be better if I tried to see that night through the killer's perspective? They tilt their head slightly and raise a hand. No. It would be even more difficult. You know King Raynar was killed on that night, so it's easier to envision it. But you don't know who the killer was. Trying to see a vision like that would be much harder. You'll learn that it applies to most visions of the past that are so recently laid out on the flow of time. That makes sense. Another reason I'm regretting that proposal is the fact that I'm not eager to play out the scene of killing Raynar. Even if I'm not the one doing it. Okay, I think I'm ready to leave now. I need to rest after everything that just happened. They nod. Very well. I'll leave you with some advice before you go. Your only limit is your mind. Oh shit. Where are they gonna... Before I can respond to their bit of advice, they disappear. With that, the mind's eye closes in around me. Just like that, I'm back in the cold, yet hot, humid cell. The sun is still high in the sky, and there isn't a cloud in sight. The clinking of armor that I remember hearing before seems to be getting louder. Whoever it is, they're getting closer. It's weird coming out of the mind's eye with not a second of time passed. A guard rounds the corner and drops a tray to the floor. It's not high enough to mess up the meal, but it still rattles around. Here's your food. There's a wooden cup of water in a bowl of porridge with some greens on the side. A piece of parchment placed on the tray slowly drifts to the floor and lands in a puddle. The guard lightly kicks the tray so that it slides underneath the barred-off door. He then laughs to himself softly as he walks away toward the entrance of the dungeons. I rise from my seat and go pick it up. The water drips from it, but it's still illegible. Before I can read the letter, my eyes glance down to see it's signed by Lyle. Everything is going to turn out okay. I promise this. You have all of my love. Seeing his pretty handwriting messily thrown into the paper fills me with a warm feeling. Just words of assurance are enough to make me smile in this lonely cell. What I would give to have him down here with me. He could take off all that cold armor and hold me against his warm body. I'd sleep much better if that were the case. As I walk over to the pile of hay where I like to store things, I remember the medicine Leaf gave to me. My head is still aching from that nightmare of an experience from earlier. I slide the letter to the pile and pull out the small vial of pellets. I pull out the cork and pop one in my mouth. It has a sour taste, but I quickly swallow it down using the cup of water. I'm not very hungry right now, so I just walk over walk over to my bed and lie down. I need to rest my head for just a bit. With what happened earlier, it took everything out of me. Thinking about it won't do me any good right now. Or once I wake up, I'll figure it out. Before I know it, I'm fast asleep. And yet my eyes haven't felt like they've been closed in a long time. They still don't. Oh, shit. Quick drink before I need to start this. Anyway. Lyle's chest, or the knight, the horsey piece, as Richter said, I think. Part 1, Lyle. Winter's harsh retribution on summer grows more relentless with each passing day. Flakes of snow gently fall down from the sky above, landing on Lyle's dark brown fur. The ground beneath his paws is frigid, but after being outside all morning, he's gotten used to it. Most of the people in these parts are used to it. Even the plants are barely affected by the frozen shower of flurry. He weakly kicks at a small pile of snow, watching it toss up into the air before landing on the ground ahead of him. Taking these walks helps him think about being out here is better than being in the castle. For the past few days, he's been trying to do everything that he can to help Richter. He hasn't been very successful, though. The only contact that he's been able to make with him is through a couple small letters, and he's not allowed to write anything important on them. Nothing helpful, at least. So they usually just end up being notes with words of encouragement or promises. It wouldn't matter anyway, given the fact Richter can't send anything back. I'll stop sending them after a while anyway. Aww. Aww, that makes me sad. Lyle. The fact that they need to be read by others is a breach of his privacy he'd rather not to go through. I mean, yeah, I kind of suspected that. Still, oh. As he slowly walks down the path, his eyes drift in the direction of a small pond underneath the dragon apricot tree. It was only a few weeks ago when he and Richter were sitting under that tree. The memory of that day always brings a smile to his face. He'd never been able to be so open with someone like that before. Without it blowing up in his face, at least. He was scared, but no matter how nervous he was, he felt comfortable. It was such a happy moment. Now it leaves a bittersweet taste in his mouth. Lyle's paws brush against the stiff grass underneath the snow as he walks toward the pond. The idea of showing this to Richter fills him with a little bit of joy. Winter in Lyre is nothing like winter in Erin from what he's heard. In Erin, it rarely snows, and if it does, most of the plants, such as flowers and things like that, need to be kept warm or they'll die. But here in Lyle, all of the plants have adapted to the climate. Sure, they lose a bit of their color and become stiff, but other than that, they're usually fine. It really creates a beautiful winter. Lyle stops by the tree stump at the edge of the pond and sits down, moving his cape so that he doesn't tug on it while sitting. His tail brushes against the snow and sends a chill throughout his body, but it's a chill that feels nice. His trousers are thick enough that his rear isn't immediately shocked by the cold surface of the stump. Even then, his fold does an excellent job at keeping him from being too cold. Once he's relaxed, he leans forward with his paws clasped together in his lap, looking down at the winter's frozen surface. He reminisces on that bittersweet memory once more, thinking about when Richter picked the pieces off the rest of his apricot and tossed them into the pond. Small fish would swim up and swarm the pieces, pushing them around the water's surface, creating ripples across the whole pond. Richter was being very quiet. Lyle had already finished all of his fruit, so he sat there watching Richter, wondering if the prior conversation really went as well as he thought it did. Now the small body of water is completely frozen. Lyle picks up one of the apricots and examines it. is rock solid and covered in frost. He takes off one of his gloves and holds the pink fruit in his paw. The cold skin brushes up against his paw pads and sends a shiver up his arm. He then looks down at the palm of his paw and stares at it with a melancholy look. The pads on his paw are dark and rough, with large claws coming out from the tips of his fingers. The rest is covered in fur. Compared to the soft skin and long articulate fingers on Richter's hand, they're much different. He chuckles to himself. No matter what he thinks about, his thoughts always lead back to Richter. It can't be helped. Whether he's thinking about how awful their situation is, or how much he cares for him, Richter's always on his mind. He looks back down at his paw again. A human and a wolf. Even in Aaron, something like that must be rare. But in Lyre? Lyle can't think of any time he's heard of something like that happening. Similar things happened before, but it's usually at least something akin between the two partners. Lyle loves him very much, but even he has to admit there's a bit of a gap between the two of them biologically. Before he can continue to delve deeper into his thoughts, his ears perk up as he hears boots crunching through the snow. He lifts his head and turns to the direction of the noise. Elizabeth approaches from the path just outside the entrance to the castle. She stares at him for a moment before continuing toward the pond. Her footwear crunched through the snow with a deep, gritty noise. She's in her usual robes and doesn't look too cold, aside from the pale skin on her face turning red at the noise and cheeks. The only different thing about her is a pair of wool mittens. It's surprising that she even has the time to come out here. The investigation is still going on, and she rarely gets a moment to get away from it all. Lyle, on the other hand, isn't allowed near the investigation as much as he'd like. The only reason he's even able to be a part of it is because he's a high-ranking individual and technically a witness. Not only that, despite the restrictions Adrius has put on him, Lyle's power over the Royal Guard is still as strong as ever. When it comes to anything other than Richter, of course. So despite Adrius and all his wishes, Lyle needs to be there to lead the Royal Guard in their inspection. Liz steps off the small path and approaches the pond. I thought you might be out here. Her voice travels across the pond like a hawk taking a sharp dive. Were you looking for me? Even when walking through small layers of snow, her figure is straight and balanced as it always is. When she gets closer, Lyle can't help but chuckle in his head at the reality that only when he's sitting down they're at eye level. No, I just assumed I would come across you. It's not often that I come out here to think, especially with the weather. But I do stroll here sometimes. She looks down at the stump he's sitting on and smirks. But I see my thinking spot has already been taken. Lyle brushes slightly and jumps up from his seat. By all means, here. It was only a joke. No, I insist. You've been working hard lately. You should be resting. Not out here in the cold. She stands there for a moment, looking up at him with a smile that spoke plenty of words before sitting down. Before I say, I kind of love Lyle and Elizabeth's dynamic. Because I think Lyle reviewed Raynar as the father, and Elizabeth was a war minister for Raynar. So Raynar obviously has a lot of trust in her. So I can only assume like some sort of like familiar bond between them. Sometimes you are too kind. Well, as long as nobody mistakes it for weakness. Of course. Lyle walks over to the tree and stands by the trunk, leaning his back against the cold surface. Liz sits there quietly for a moment, most likely gathering her thoughts before speaking again. Lyle? Yes? I know it's not like we haven't seen each other in a while, but I just now realized that I've never properly asked. How have you been taking all of this? He scuffs his paw at the ground, looking down and avoiding her eye contact. I've been taking it as well as I can, I suppose. He brings back his paw and kicks one of the fruit, watching it skid across the surface of the pond before slowly coming to a stop near the bank on the other side. I know Raynar was like family to you, and I can certainly confirm without a doubt that he adored you. For some reason, Lau can't help but think about the depressing funeral that was held only a couple days after Raynar's murder. It was a private gathering that only the closest to him were allowed to attend. The burial was held at twilight in the dark gardens where Elena was also laid to rest. It was a sad day, and not a single person spoke. Instead, everyone just stood there quietly mourning. Adria said a few words, but other than that, he silently sat in front of the grave, gently placing small flowers around both headstones. Lyle wanted to stay, but when everyone started to depart, and Adrius made no move to get up, Lyle knew that he too should probably go. I wish none of this happened. I know. We all do. This whole tragedy might just plunge this kingdom into war. Lyle shivers at the idea of war breaking out. I'm sure that another solution will present itself. She continues to look at the ground, her eyes shrouded in gloom. Both of them sit there in silence for some time before she speaks up. I spoke with Lord Richter the other day. I couldn't remember if I had told you or not. Lyle straightens up after hearing this. No, you didn't. How is he doing? Not as bad as one would think, but still. He's not doing too great. Just then, Lyle's chest feels like it twists into a knot. He leans against the tree, sliding down the trunk and slumping against it, seating himself into the cold snow beneath him. Nothing comes to mind that he could say, his thoughts completely clouded. Elizabeth's concerned look breaks him out of his daze. Are you okay? I'm sorry if that bothered you. Even in the midst of his swirling thoughts, Lyle musters up the energy to give a polite response. No, it's fine. You were only answering my hasty questions. She relaxes a bit and places her hands on her lap. I know you have a strong devotion to him, but the rumors don't do it justice. They're a bit of an understatement, actually. Oh yeah, the rumors. Just a bunch of fools who talk about it as if there's nothing better to do. Everyone talks about it, as you probably know. I know firsthand. I wish people would just mind their own damn business. Trust me, so do I. It would make everything a lot easier. I just want to know that I'm not judging you. I know. I was, however, shocked with that display during the party. Lyle slumps more into the tree, his face being surrounded by the fluff around his neck. Yeah. Don't get the wrong idea. It's not in the way you think. After the initial shock, I was actually quite interested. Really? Yes. The amount of courage it must have taken for all of that. Trust me, it wasn't as courageous as you think. Still, it was impressive. Especially Richter's part in it. The way he told off all those pompous half-wits from the higher houses. God, the look on their faces were priceless. They really hated that. Yeah, it was great. The interesting part about it was Richter's reaction. No normal person in his position would dare to do something like that. Compared to that day he stumbled into the chambers with his thoughts scattered and manners thrown out the window, I'd say it was an improvement. But still, he's so different from every other ambassador I've come across. Like that one from Drace. He's strange, but there's no doubt he was politically trained. Unlike Richter, who? Are you saying Richter isn't good at his job? No, not at all. I like the fact that he's so different from the others. Besides, I haven't known him long enough to be able to make such a judgment. Lau looks down, embarrassed at his rushed attempt at defending Richter. Sorry, I misunderstood. He hasn't had the chance to do much yet, but everything that he's done so far has been done exceptionally. Mostly dealing with the crown's money. making sure Raynar didn't run the kingdom dry with another one of his extravagant parties. Someone had to. She looks down with a smile on her face, but quickly fades once the levity of the conversation dissipates. I've gotten off track, though. I know that you're a good man. When you were a young lad, you had always strove. Fuck, I can't read. When you were a young lad, you always strove to do what's right, even if it wasn't in your best interest. But she lets out a sigh. But sometimes I think you're in over your head. There it is. Lyle lets out a short exhale through his nose, causing a puff of cold breath to appear in front of it. I want to trust you on this, I really do. But there's not much for me to go off of other than your word. Lyle seems to sink further into his armor, as if he'll disappear into himself at any given moment. Do you have any evidence that can help clear his name? Anything to bring to the trial? Of course, but I don't think it will be enough. Anything you haven't told us that could be useful? Everything I know has been laid out for all to hear, along with the evidence everyone's been looking for the past week. It's almost as if they're trying to make it seem like they haven't already made their decision. She places her hands on her lap, looking down at them with a thoughtful face. I know you have these feelings for him, and I'm happy for you, but you're risking a lot right now, more than you could possibly imagine. She brushes the snow off of her legs and stands up, looking him in the eye. He looks up at her and sits up straight, realizing she's leaving. You're going to find yourself at a crossroads soon. We all are. The question is, would you risk it all, or will you abandon everything? Lau clumsily stands up with a confused look on his face. What? It's just something to think about. Something I've been thinking about for a long time. Not the warmest note to end on, but I assure you, giving it some thought will prove useful. She brings her hands behind her back and gives a nod. It's about time I went back inside the warm walls of the castle. Of course. Listen, Lyle. His ears perks up as she continues. I've put my trust in you, but whatever happens, I want you to know. I just want what's best for this kingdom. And I'm sorry for anything that happens. Lyle's attempt at coming up with any response to what she said slowly dissipates as she walks away toward the entrance to the courtyard. One of the castle guards come out the door, safely ushering her into the hall. Lyle looks up into the air, snowflakes falling down gracefully like stars against the foggy blue sky. What she said doesn't feel so reassuring, though. If anything, it just makes the rest of this week feel like it's going by faster. Everything seems to be slowly creeping up on them with every passing day. This feeling of dread would be enough to make someone crumble. That, on top of the constant thought of Richter sitting there alone in that cell, slowly losing all hope. Val looks down at his paw, the glove still firmly grasped in it. The little claw at each fingertip jingle and clank into each other as he grips it tighter. I swear, I'll... He releases his grip, sliding the glove back into his paw. I'll get you out of there, no matter what. I'll prove it to them. He says this while looking down at the ground, as if he was talking to the direction of Richter down in their cell. There's nothing that he could do, though. But he needs to go to the court chambers and look over the evidence. A certain someone might be able to help him identify something. This might be his only chance to get information that nobody else could. Wasn't he supposed to speak to a Don or something? Come on, what happened to that? He quickly stands up and begins to walk away from the pond. He's done enough thinking. It's time to take action. With each twist and turn through the castle halls, Lyle's heart beats faster, his body filled with anxiousness and hope. Contrary to his large size, his paws are silent and quick as he swiftly makes his way down the corridor. The court chambers are just up ahead. The room is heavily guarded, along with Richter's quarters and Raynar's bedchambers. Nobody except for people participating in the investigation have been allowed in Richter's room since the solstice. They did a complete search of the room, finding nothing but expensive clothes and a cluttered desk full of notes and documents, along with a few embarrassing drawings Lyle had made that he kept. Thankfully, the guards won't stop him. He may not be able to visit with Richter, but they can't bar him off from this. As he approaches the door, there's a few castle guards standing outside. They stand up straight and look forward. Lyle walks up to the door and takes out his keys, unlocking it with a large clinking sound. He opens the door and leans in through the threshold. It's empty. The candles on the chandelier above the table are lit, but the curtains are drawn and the room is lifeless. The room shouldn't be empty. He pauses for a moment, wondering if there's something wrong, but then walks through the room with caution, closing the door behind him. The table went from being a nice place for guests to eat to being cluttered with papers, documents, and all sorts of evidence important to the investigation. The chairs are pushed out and facing all kinds of directions. Raynar's clothes from that night are laying flat on the table, completely spread out, appearing to have been examined multiple times. The dried blood on the suit sends a cold rush up Lyle's body, but he looks away from it for now. That's not what he came here for. Along with the suit are pieces of the ripped drapes, which have been collected and laid out next to it. Letters, documents, more letters. The table would look like an absolute mess to anyone who didn't know their way around it. Lyle spots the things he's looking for, but not before his eyes glance across some of the sketches he made. Liz knew of Lyle's hobby and asked him to sketch out the scene before they removed any of the evidence. It was early in the morning and none of them had slept, so his drawings didn't come out that great. On top of the fact that he wasn't enjoying a single moment of it. The things he was asked to sketch out that night were uncomfortable. But it had to be done and help, so. Thankfully, whoever was looking at them decided to cover them up with a sketch of the scene from the entrance. Not pleasant, but much less detailed. A shocking sight he'd rather not remember. With a nasty twist forming in his stomach, he sets the sketches back on the table and looks down at the murder weapon. It's a unique yet simple rondel dagger with a long blade. It's nothing too classy, but certainly not cheap. A pretty thing for a peasant to spend their life savings on, but nothing a noble would use. The guard is made from gold, but it feels very light. The dagger doesn't look like it's been used much either. It has a clean finish aside from the blood that's been left on it. There's no signs of scratches or dents though. Everything about it seems flawless. The fact that there's no mark signifying the maker is annoying. However, there's one thing that's odd about this dagger that always bothered Lyle. The blades were typically used along with a thrusting sword such as a rapier or an estic. A secondary weapon used to gain an edge on your opponent. Your typical dagger would be much better for assassinating someone. This dagger would still get the job done though. The blade is sharp enough to cut a hair straight down the center, and the tip is very pointed. Just looking at it is enough to make Lyle nervous, but holding it sends an ominous chill up his back and around his shoulders. The castle blacksmith has already had a look at it, and he said it's a standard northern dagger that you can get from any smith in Erin or Lyre. Lyle still doesn't trust his judgment though. The man used to be involved in smithing and knew a lot about the different types of blades and forges they came from. But he hasn't been in that field lately. Now he just forges weapons and armor specifically for the castle guard along with the royal guard. Wise beyond his years, but rusty in his knowledge, Lyle knows of one man who might help know the origin of this blade. Idan. If Idan can figure out where the blade might have come from and bring it before the court, it could turn the tides of the trial entirely. Idan can confirm that Richter didn't even buy a single weapon when he was in the forge. It's not solid proof, but it's something. Lyle takes the blade and gently puts it into... You take it? Well, you're taking it! Oh my God, Lyle, isn't this evidence? You can't do that. Let's hope you can figure this. No, 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 no. No, 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 yeah, Bjorn. Do something about this, Bjorn. Coincidentally, Bjorn stands in the doorway, his large body taking out most of the frame. He has an annoyed grimace plastered on his muzzle. Greed. He looks around the room with a confused look on his face. Who were you just talking to? Lyle tucks the satchel more behind his back and underneath his cape as he backs up a bit. Nobody. I was just thinking out loud. Bjorn knowing about what Lyle plans to do would certainly cause some trouble. Yeah, he's taking evidence. I know when Elizabeth said that he has it in over his head. Oh my God. Come on. Don't fuck this up. I'm getting secondhand embarrassment from this. Trouble he'd rather not have to deal with. Having to explain to someone like Adrius that he wants to take the murder weapon isn't undesirable as a confrontation with the killer himself. What, were you looking over evidence or something? Bjorn glances at the table with disinterest. Yeah, just looking. Trying to piece everything together. All by yourself. The old bear stands up straight, his towering figure rising up above Lyle's by a good distance. Yes, is there something wrong with that? The tone of annoyance in Lyle's voice slips out on the last few words. You're allowed to do that. Of course I am. Don't forget, I'm the captain of the Royal Guard, and I still have a partial supervision over this investigation and the trial. Bjorn grunts and lets out a chuckle, his frown still sitting upon his lips. It doesn't matter. I was just leaving. Lyle goes to step around him, but he speaks up. You shouldn't have it. Lyle stops in his track, his heartbeat rising slightly. What? You shouldn't have supervision over this. Everyone knows it. Everyone's thinking about it. Even you understand why it's wrong. Lyle Shock's face is nothing compared to the sight of his hackles rising. That's not for you to decide. And it's not wrong in the slightest. Someone has to support the innocent man locked in that cell. Lyle continues to walk past him and grabs the doorknob. I won't stand for this disrespect, Sir Bjorn. I'm leaving. What is Lion thinking? There's no way. They're gonna notice that the dagger is missing. They're gonna, what the fuck happened? And then they're gonna find out Lyle has it. Oh my God. I can't stop worrying about Lyle. Bjorn doesn't wait for Bjorn to retort as the door closes behind him. The guards inside the door are still as statues, and Lyle walks in the opposite direction, down the stairs. Bjorn's constant disrespect of Lyle is annoying, but as long as he does what he's told and doesn't get in his way, he honestly couldn't care less. It's weird being a young captain to an old beast like that, but that's just the way things are. Age isn't a factor in capabilities to lead. Maybe he'll realize that someday. Lyle steps off the bottom of the stairs and reaches the door to the passage which leads to the village. He looks around before opening the door. From what he can tell, nobody was following him. He takes out his keys, unlocking the door swiftly and swinging it open. Why the fuck did I see jingling? Cold air blows out from the doorway into his face. He steps down the spiral staircase, closing the door behind him and locking it. The stairs are wet with cold water, and it makes him wish he had a pair of those shoes Richter has to wear. They probably wouldn't fit on his paws, though. Descending down the stairs, he reaches the bottom and begins to carefully make his way through the tunnel. Each step he takes becomes colder and colder, some of the puddles beneath him reacting to the movement, glowing bright blue like they always do. Once he reaches a trapdoor at the end, he unlocks it and pushes it up as far as his arms let him. He lifts himself up the stairs and tries to let his eyeballs adjust to the light. It's snowing out right now, but each snowflake quickly melts before he can even touch the ground. Other than a thin layer of snow here and there, the vitality fire lanterns seem to be doing their job as always. Even if he does show it to Adon, he's showing him a dagger covered in blood. Come on. You'd be like, why do you have that? He steps out of the small alley and into the village square. It's not as busy as it usually is, but people are still going about their day. For an obvious reason, everything feels more depressing now. It may just be his mood, though. There's a few people walking around and shopping for stuff. A couple of kids were playing by the fountain, one of them flipping a few coins into the water. John's outside the bakery, adding logs to the stove. Always a good, hard-working lad. The logs look like small branches when he grabs them. Lyle's ears perk up at the familiar sound of metal striking an anvil from within Adon's forge. Adon must have been working since dawn, because from the sound of it, every contraption and furnace in his forge is running. Lyle secures the satchel at his side and lifts the tarp in the doorway, his ears brushing at it as he ducks through the arch. The entire forge is suffocated in dry, hot air. Adon is bent over, porking at the inside of the furnace, his body shining with sweat. His apron is completely dirty and all sorts of tools are thrown about the ground. He stands up and turns around, jumping a bit at the sight of Lyle. Lyle? Quiet as always, I see. Lyle rubs the back of his head while looking down at the ground. I'm not trying to be. Yeah, sure. Holler my name next time. He sets down a fire poker and turns back around, wiping his paws with a rag. How have you been? A mess. Yeah, I bet. A long pause floats through the air, but before Lyle can get to the point, Adon speaks up again. Such an awful thing to happen. I can only imagine how it's been affecting you. As much of a shock as it was, life still goes on for us folk outside the castle. Though, I can't help but feel a little depressed lately. He bites his lip while looking at his anvil, the top of it scratched and busted all over. I also heard about who they said it did it. The human fellow that you've been following around. What was his name again? Richter. Trust me, he didn't do it. Adon shrugged his shoulders. I hope he didn't. He seemed nice. But enough about that. What can I do for you? Don't tell me winter's dull again. You can't have that much done. You can't have done that much training. No, it's not that. I just wanted to ask you a few questions. About what? Lyle pulls the satchel around to his front and lifts the flap, revealing the handle of the blade. He carefully pulls it out and places it on top of the anvil. I need you to tell me everything you can about this blade. Adon cocks an eyebrow at the dagger and rubs his chin. I thought you didn't like fancy daggers, big guy. What exactly did you want to know about it? Where's it from? What's it made of? Do you recognize the maker? Anything that can help me clear Richter's name. Adon picks up the knife gently and examines it. Is this the blade? It is. A slight grimace. Yeah, I can imagine. Turning it around his paws, he studies it with extra care, trying to look at every detail. What about that castle blacksmith? Didn't he have anything to say about this? Yeah, but I don't even know why they consulted him in the first place. He only works on special orders, and he's been out of the trade for decades. Lyle wrings his paws, looking at Adon with concern. On this matter, I trust your judgment more than anyone's. Adon holds the dagger closer to the light from the furnace and runs a claw across the guard. He then rubs one of his paw pads along the pommel. What did the old man say? He said it was a regular blade. Could be purchased from any smith in Erin or Lyre. He's wrong. It's a very easy mistake to make, though. Lyle leans forward, placing his paws on the anvil and resting his weight on it. I knew it! To anyone else, this would look like a simple rondel dagger. A rapier's best friend. He points to the sharp tip and holds it in a standard grip. That's the case with this one. But it's not that simple of a blade. Although thrusting swords became widely used weapon in Northern Erin, they were created in Lyre. Both kingdoms had many knights and soldiers trained in the art of dueling with such blades. The thing is, ever since trade began between the three kingdoms was expertly established, so were ideas. He places a blade back into the anvil. And the fires of the forge cast a warm glow upon the blade. Ideas were shared and techniques learned. Eventually, all sorts of weapons were being forged all around Tigran. Weapons considered to be foreign were rare and sought after in their homelands. And a dagger like this was definitely forged in Dries. He nudges the blade across the anvil in Lyle's direction as he says this. Really? I've seen ones like it before on the few trips I've taken to Dries. The wavy blade is something you could go off of, but here's the main reason. He points to the garden pommel. This is in gold. It's not? That is pure arenamite. It's a somewhat rare metal that's similar to gold in quality. Almost as rare as Vekrite, and is found primarily in the south. Weighs less and is stronger. He picks it up and holds it out to Lyle. This blade is from Dries. Katash. Sorry, what? Nothing. Lyle takes the blade from him and gently places it back in his satchel. Thank you for your help, Adon. It's no problem at all. I won't even charge you for my time. Very funny. I'll be seeing you, hopefully. Lyle turns to leave, but Adon stops him. Hey, Lyle. Yes? I heard other things about that Richter fella. Lyle turns around and leans against the wall behind him. Adon, I heard that you're at it again. That's my business. I know, just seems like it's happening all over again. I mean, everyone's forming mean opinions about it. Lyle looks up at the ceiling and sighs. Listen to me for a moment, will you? I know that they made it difficult for us to be... Oh, fuck! What? Oh my god! Oh, I should have known from the start! I should have known! Oh, I knew there was something gay brewing across those two. I know that they spread horrible rumors which were quickly silenced and not forgotten, but Lyle starts to feel hot in the face as he slumps into himself. I saw the way he looks at you. His eyes held the truth. Oh, God. I need to draw them making out right now. Lyle's blush becomes more and more visible as he continues. Promise me something. What? Don't let them do it again. Lyle stands up straight and looks him in the eyes. I won't, Adon. Good. And if there's anything else I can do to help, let me know. I'm still your friend. Oh, friend! I'm still your friend! Oh, that's the past that they had! That's the past! Oh! No matter how much you distance yourself from everyone. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, God. Fuck. God damn. Lyle walks over to the doorway and Adon lifts a tarp to the side. He rubs the back of his head and looks up at Adon with a concerned and embarrassed gaze. Thank you, Adon. I'm sorry. No worries. Fuck. They step outside to the chilly air and Adon basks in it, trying to cool off. This visit was very productive. A bit too productive in some areas. Oh shit, excuse me. I'm honestly glad I was able to help. Hopefully everything gets resolved. One can only hope at this point. I should really stop being a stranger, though. I'll come visit you again. I'll come visit you again soon if things go well. Lyle takes a few steps forward to the alley while looking at Adon. Before he can go any further, he crashes into something, which causes him to stumble back slightly. Watch your step, Captain. I knew it. I mean, I knew it. I knew this would happen. I feel so embarrassed for Lyle, but fuck, I'm scared. As Lyle regains his footing, he knows that Bjorn has slipped the satchel off his person and is now examining the flap. When he looks back up, what little subtlety he had in his eyes is now completely gone. I knew it. Sneaking off with pieces of evidence as if you own the bloody investigation. Lyle reaches forwards, taking the satchel from Bjorn, who basically lets him have it. I was not sneaking. What are you doing? What are you doing lurking in the alley behind my forge? Following this reckless fool. Bjorn gestures to Lyle with his large paw, not taking his eyes off of him for a second. Lyle's face becomes flushed out, and he grips the satchel at his side. You're coming with me. Lyle goes to walk past him. We'll speak about this later. Before he can finish his sentence, Bjorn grabs him by the shoulders and slams him up against the wall. His head hits the wall behind him, and before he can recover, there's another painful blow to his face. He's then shoved back toward the end of the alley, stumbling slightly. Lyle! Stay out of this, Adon. Bjorn had punched him directly in the nose, his fist splattered with blood. Lyle could barely taste it in his mouth, the potent metallic flavor running across his tongue. Could already taste it. Fuck. You bastard! Have you lost your mind? I could ask you the same, boy. Do you think you're completely absolved of all punishment just because you're the captain? That makes me sick. Bjorn already has his paw firmly placed on the grip of his sword. Lyle feels a rage grow inside of him that he hadn't felt in a long time. He slowly raises his arm up behind him and grips the handle of his own blade. You will draw steel on me. You've been meddling with this investigation for far too long. You let your emotions get in the way of every decision you make, and it's going to bring this entire trial into chaos. That's absurd. If anything, that's what I'm trying to prevent, you brute. That's true, Uncle. Uncle! Uncle! Shut your trap. Uncle! Adon looks like he's about to say something, but stops himself. He looks over at Lyle, a worried look filling his eyes. What do you plan to do? Bjorn taps his chin slightly while staring at Lyle. Teaching you a lesson might be good. You've been a bad dog. Honestly, I think it'd be best if I just killed the Iranian bastard. Then you can go back to thinking with your brain instead of that thing between your legs, like a good captain. Hearing him say this triggers something within Lyle that he only felt on a few occasions. The purest kind of rage. His body feels like a fire was lit inside of it, flowing through his veins and boiling his blood. He was only trying to... Bjorn whirls around and yells at Adon. Stay out of this, boy. I've already warned you once. Lyle takes his chance to draw his sword, the blade sliding out of the leather sheath with ease. He dashes back while doing this to put some distance between him and Bjorn. Whoa. His eyes are golden. Interesting. Once his footing is secured, he lowers the sword in front of his body and assumes a plow guard. If there's going to be a fight, he's going to defend himself. And since it's Bjorn, there's going to be a fight. Bjorn has already turned his gaze back to Lyle and smirks a sinister grin. Looks like you're the one drawing steel. I'll go get help. Adon runs in the direction of the castle. You plan to hurt me with that, pretty thing? I only mean to defend myself. Bjorn reaches behind his shoulder and drags the heavy sword off of his back. The blade glistens in the light and twice the size of Lyle's own sword.
You're coming with me one way or another.
I'd like to see that happen. You won't be dealing out your own sick idea of justice this time. Bjorn rushes forward, sword raised and ready to be brought down upon him. Lyle steadies himself and prepares for the hit. Bjorn brings a heavy hunk of metal down upon Lyle's own blade, but he swiftly parries it and dodges it to the side. The blade slams into the ground with a mighty clang, sparking against the bricks. Lyle's Vekrite sword rings throughout the air as he swings it back around, away from Bjorn.
You know, you've never commanded respect. You weren't fit to be a captain.
Lyle points his blade in Bjorn's direction, defending himself against the next blow.
I never wanted your respect. I never needed it. I demand your loyalty. The same loyalty we all show this kingdom.
Bjorn scoffs at him, pacing around the wolf with calm yet savage look in his eyes.
Loyalty. What good has it done you? You've been a slave to loyalty your whole life.
A small crowd has started to form just outside of the alley. Nobody dares to get closer, though. Bjorn takes his chance to swing at Lyle again. This time, Lyle brings the sword in front of him, grabbing the end of it with his gloved paw and bracing it against the flat of his blade. Bjorn's sword clashes against Lyle, sending sparks all over the ladder, throwing him slightly off balance before sending his weight back to the blade and throwing Bjorn's sword to the side of him. Bjorn staggers back and grips his weapon tighter.
King Raynar's loyal dog, always ready to do whatever his masters ask of him.
Lyle feels a deep, hot feeling swelling inside of him. The feeling only grows stronger with each second that passes. He quickly rushes forward, throwing a flurry of blows at the bear, which he barely manages to block. To an outsider, he's a blue and white blur, thrashing at his opponent with precise strikes. Bjorn stumbles and almost falls to his knees before swinging his blade horizontally, forcing Lyle to back off. Through panting breaths, he mocks him again.
Yes, you were loyal, but your loyalty ended where the benefits stopped. Our new king will be as forgiving as little stunts you've been pulling.
Lyle rushes forward and swings his sword against Bjorn's with a heavy clash. Sparks fly throughout the air as their blades drag across each other with a heavy screeching noise.
You don't know what you're talking about. Trust me, I do. You see, my loyalty ended in a similar way.
Each of them positioned their swords at different angles, one trying to get the advantage over the other.
When Sir Runar died, and you were named his successor, I knew this kingdom was going to shit. So I started pulling stunts of my own. Then they called me undisciplined for it.
Lyle hangs his leg up and kicks Bjorn as hard as he can, forcing him back.
You're a traitorous little bastard. I'll have that human strung up if it's the last thing I do. And you're going to watch.
Hearing this causes Lyle to enter a rage like he's never felt before. Savage and wild, but calm and collected all at the same time. He needs to completely visualize his objective. Killing him isn't his goal here. He has to subdue him somehow. Wrestling him into a tough position is the only way to ensure no blood is spilled on his part. However, it presents a problem. Lyle is the superior duelist by far, but if his past training has shown anything, Bjorn should be the better grappler. Switching to this form of fighting gives Bjorn an advantage, but it's the best way to show he was acting in self-defense. He has a chance. Lyle lets out a low growl before lunging at Bjorn, tackling him to the ground. At this moment, he truly does look like a wild animal as he tosses Bjorn's sword to the side with a single swing of his own. The blade clatters to the ground and Lyle mounts the bear, digging his paws into his wrist with all his strength, pinning him down. He leans in, pressing harder to Bjorn's wrist, baring his teeth.
Like hell you will! All 3 kingdoms will be in the ground before I let you do that. Bjorn manages to wrench one of his arms out from underneath Lyle's paw, but Lyle already anticipated this. He quickly kicks his paw from the ground and twists around, still holding into one of Bjorn's arms. The bear reaches around to grab onto one of Lyle's legs, but it's already too late. Lyle has locked him into a vicious armbar. He locks his legs around Bjorn's arm at the shoulder and pulls the appendage as hard as he can. You think I'll let you get away with this? You're wrong! Audible grunts can be heard from the large bear, but Lyle doesn't let up. He needs to figure out his next move quickly, before he can execute anything. Bjorn is already back on the offensive. The bear slowly lifts his legs around to the side of Lyle and positions himself under the wolf's foot. It's a blessing we were both taught by the same man. He taught me everything I need to know to take you down! Before Bjorn can escape the grip, Lyle doubles down and pins the bear's head to the ground harder, while tightening his hold on Bjorn's arm. Yield! In what feels like a split second, Lyle's body is thrown back to the ground as Bjorn twists around and mounts Lyle. Through it all, Lyle's legs are still locked around the bear's body, but they've been forced down to wrapping around Bjorn's waist. Lyle's armor scrapes against the ground, and his cape rips as he slid back toward the wall behind him. The bear looks down at him with a sick and amused expression. I don't. Bjorn then lays a heavy punch into Lyle's face. This is then followed by several more blows. Lyle manages to block a few of them, but after a while it becomes harder. Every blow elicits a low growl from the bear. With each punch, the noises around him become more and more muffled. Then they stop. Thick blood feels like it's drowning the insides of his mouth as he sits there panting. Bjorn gets off of him and he's free to catch his breath. His eyes feel swollen and he can't see out of them. He can still hear, but it's slowly fading away. I told you, you're coming with... The last thing his ears pick up is large bear coughing and wheezing. He's breathing heavily and there's a sound of footsteps rushing to both of them. The last thing he feels is something heavy falling on top of him. This knocks the wind out of him and he slowly loses consciousness. Cold snowflakes land on the tip of his almost numb nose. The last thing he thinks is whether Richter is going to be safe. Part 2. Okay. I'm gonna pause recording here because I've been recording for a long time, obviously, but my thoughts on this so far, there's just... I still have nothing to say because each time this novel has always left me speechless when it comes to the ends of these sections or my recording sessions. And I haven't really been like leaving off on cliffhangers, but I think this is a good cliffhanger to hang off of. I think this recording has kind of shown me just like a lot more of, I would like to say a lot more of the dynamics around each of the characters, like Lyle and Elizabeth and what else? Lyle and Adon, kind of somewhat unsurprisingly. Lyle hasn't really spoken up about his past, but I can only imagine and think or wish that I could see Lyle's past with Adon. But anyways, the next part is Idris, but I wonder if is this gonna pick off on like after the fight? Is Idris gonna be coming down into the village or the town? Makes me wonder. But anyways, if you watch this video, thank you. If you want to see more, please check out my future uploads. I'm gonna finish all the way into the end of this. Is still chapter 9, right? Chapter 9
4 more chapters, and I'm still in the middle of chapter 9, so I'll probably do like any new parts of chapter 9, and then the rest of chapter, or not the rest of chapter 9, and then the entirety of chapter 10, maybe if it's not split into parts. But again, if you watched, thanks. If you want to see more, I'll keep recording until I'm at the end of this story. And also, good night, because it's night for me.